Yo guys, we're back again with the Bettor Podcast and it's episode 8. It's ironic that we are back reviewing the season with somebody who piloted this podcast, Mr. Delmain Faver from Soccer Laduma. Welcome back.
No, thanks so much for having me. It's good to be back. I was here to open it. Are we closing?
Yeah, we're not entirely closing the season yet, but I mean, there's a lot to reflect on. I think there's only 2 fixtures of league games left, and then obviously the cup final. No Champions League to review on because there's no South African representative in there. But yeah, just off the top of it, obviously now Mamelodi Sundowns have been crowned champions already. Not physically with the trophy, but how many games?
But with 6 games to spare.
6 games to spare. They're chasing a couple of records. Are you surprised about that? I think in the start of the season we were like, they'll probably win it, but...
No, we said it at the start of the season. I think the discussion was more about who would challenge them. And that has failed dismally. I think we got that wrong.
Yeah.
But it's clear that Sundowns are 5 years ahead. I say it all the time. They're about 5 years ahead of everyone else in the league. They're showing it. And it's not just because they have the best talent, and it's not just because they have the budgets, because we saw in the past that an older Sundowns, 2010, 2011 Sundowns had a plethora of stars and it didn't work. They were losing games. But if you have the right talent with the right man to manage it, which I think they do, then you are so much better. If you pay attention to detail, then you are so much better. And that's what they've shown. I think perhaps it's a bit sad that the perennial challengers, Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, Super Sport, supposed to be... They didn't quite show up. Pirates, yes. Credit to them for staying in it, for sticking around, and obviously the surprise package still is. But Sundowns are just that good. You look at their stats when they play against some of the teams. They have 800 passes compared to 125. 80% possession. It's boys against men, literally, and a lot of... Our success as Bafana is down to just what they've achieved.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes, there has been some quarters, like fans even not happy about like the attacking style of play, like not scoring enough goals and things like that. Do you agree that maybe they could have done better, or do you think that they're still working on something for the future? And I also think, just to add, they have a good coach, they've got good technical structure, they've got good management, everything seems to be going well there. But it's just also momentum that is so key in football. When you win a title convincingly and you're building on that squad, not losing your players, the other squads don't really have that. The other teams don't have that type of luxury. But the question is, do you think they could have done better?
No. They won the league with 6 games to go. I personally do not judge them on the PSL. Although I think we undermine also how difficult it is to win it.
Because if you see now, they're now almost 30 games in, right? Mokoena and Alendi, who in your mind are like, they were so influential. They played 15 games a season in the league. You know what I mean? So it shows that they do actually rotate a lot.
No, they rotate a lot. Doesn't always work, especially when it comes to crunch time. But again, I say I don't judge them on the league, although it is an achievement on its own. Coach Pizzo, when he was there, said we run a different race.
Yeah.
They do run a different race. I judge them on what they do in the CAF Champions League. I judge them on what they do in the AFL. Because ultimately, you've set the standard so high that's where you want to be. You want to be amongst your Al Ahlis, your Esperance, your Widats. You know what I'm saying? So, judging them to say they've been successful based solely off of just the league, I'm not sure about that. But considering that they've done it 7 times in a row, and you mentioned something, you speak about momentum. I think that once you develop the know-how of how to win, regardless of circumstances, whether you're playing well or not, to be able to grind a result, the 1-0.
That's what I'm looking at now, but just look, because Pirates, you're talking about that they didn't challenge you. They've dropped points now against Richards Bay. They lost 2 at home. They've dropped points against Swallows, Sekhukhune, Cape Town Spurs. They lost to Cape Town Spurs, and I think they drew with them. So, these are the type of teams that Polokwane, they drop points also.
Those are the type of teams you're supposed to trap.
Now Sundowns winning against these teams.
You know what I'm saying? And what I like about Pirates is that they figured out quickly how not to lose to Sundowns.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, in the first round, Sundowns bullied them. It was at Orlando, we were there. And Tebza Mokoena absolutely got under Maswangani's skin every time he touched the ball going backwards.
Yeah.
Tebza was there in his face. And I think the foul ratio that game was 26-10.
Yeah.
Sundowns were 26
That's
fouls.
the first time I saw Sundowns play like that.
But it shows you that they know how to win. They don't mind getting dirty, and I think that comes with CAF Champions League experience where you have to. And then in the second game, you go and see Pirates play a similar style, the 1-1.
Yeah.
Pirates play, I think Pirates also had over 20 fouls in that game, so they were giving as good as they were getting. And a lot of the teams don't do that. A lot of the teams, when they come up against Sundowns, you're stupid if you try and play your own game. You're brave,
Yeah, but
you're
they
stupid.
allow them to have the ball too much.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They
yeah.
just sit back and
then they have so many tools. So you allow us to have the ball. We have someone who can shoot from the halfway line and probably hit it on target. In Tebza, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have the paciest wing backs that can overlap, play it into the box. We have people who can score. We can play through Yumshishi. They call him a master of space. So they have so many different tools to break you down.
And also intelligent players. I think every player in that Sundowns 11 can play as a number 10, if we're being honest. Or they make it look like it.
No, they make it look like it. Let's be honest also. Sundowns have taken players that we weren't speaking about.
Kran
Kekana was struggling to get the right back berth at Supersport. Kuliso Mudau was signed from the NFD. You look at someone like Mvala, the Lord. You know, he wasn't knocking it out the park, but I think that's the sign of a well-coached team, is that you take players that are average and you improve them to a level where they seem like they're better than anyone else.
Look, Mvala was like a goal-scoring 6 box-to-box at Highlands Park, but that was in the NFD. When he came up, he was scoring a lot of penalties and stuff.
He scored a lot of
But
penalties.
But he's not the guy you would say, oh, this is a Sundowns player and
He
whatever.
would kick the crap out of people.
Yeah.
You couldn't play out from the back.
Yeah, when he became a centre-back, we were all like,
yeah,
what are they trying
what
with this
are
guy?
they trying? And then also he has this the knack of giving away silly fouls. That's still something that they need to work on. We see it being exposed, maybe not so much in the PSL, he gets away with it, but in the CAF Champions League, where strikers are constantly diving, looking for it.
We need to give him props, because he had this exceptional AFCON season. It's something I didn't expect when we were going towards AFCON, and he played with Sianda against Ivory Coast with the friendly. He made a couple of mistakes, but to see like how he's matured in that role, it's been very impressive. But moving on, CAF Champions League and the Confederations Cup race, which is obviously second and third. Stallies currently occupy second place. Pirates, I think it's 1 point difference.
1 point, yeah.
They both lost this weekend. And something that not many people are talking about, I think fourth place is actually going to get another Confed spot, because I doubt it will go to Chippa as a semi-finalist for the Nedbank Cup. So perhaps the fourth place, which might be Sekokune or DS Galaxy. I don't know. I don't know who's going to get there. But yeah, who do you think is getting Champions League this season?
For what they've done this season, I think Stellies deserve it.
They're playing Sundowns next.
They're playing, but if there's one team who can take it to Sundowns, again, we saw in the Nedbank Cup, they can take it to Sundowns. I remember last season, it was, or the season before that, Sundowns had also won the league with like 7 games to go.
And then they were drawing.
And then Stellies come and clap them 3-0 at home. It was the season before Dupree left. So if there's one team who can take it to them, it's Stellies. But honestly, if football is fair and the football gods shine their face on you, then we say Stellies go and play CAF Champions League. Also, you look at what Pirates did in the competition last season, you ask, were they taking it as serious? I mean, they were dumped out by Chwaneng. You know what I'm saying? Stellies, and it will be a good test for them as well.
But don't you think the Confederations Cup would be a genuine competition that Stellies could like target to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not so difficult. We saw Marumo go all of the way. They were relegated and they went.
Serious,
you just need to take it seriously. Also have the players, because there's a possibility that the squad can get raided.
Yeah, a big
which
one.
Is, yeah.
I think they'll be looking for bigger financial packages at the end of the season as well. But talking about packages, if you had to choose a surprise one over this course of the season, who would you say? And just think about this for a second. It's like when you look at the table at the start of the season when everyone's on 0 points, and you look at the table now, which team? Maybe I should pull out the league for you. Which team? Look here over here. Which team has surprised you?
Galaxy.
Okay, why TS Galaxy?
I say Galaxy because number one, they've stuck to the same coach for the third season in a row. We don't see that in the PSL. Usually, I think he just made it into the top 8 last season. Usually,
he came 10th. Nah?
Yeah.
But if he had won the game, I can't remember who they played. I think it was Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
They would have been in the top 8.
In the top 8,
and then they lost 7 players.
Yeah. So the fact that he's lost 7 players and he's gone on and made a squad as competitive as he's done, it speaks to a good coach. He's a UEFA Pro license coach, something that Tim Sugazi never forgets to mention. But it's not just the paper. He's actually doing the work. You know, again, if you look at what he's working with, a lot of players that I wouldn't say are rejects because that's
they've
offensive.
got 6 right backs in their starting 11.
Think about that, and yet he's playing some of the best football. I remember there was a weekend. The football that was being played was terrible. Chiefs had played. It was a rainy game that they played. Pirates had also played a crappy game, and then TS Galaxy come and it was the Nedbank Cup. I won't forget, yeah. And then TS Galaxy come and they win. I think they went down and then they won 3-1, and they played some good football, man. So them for sure. The coach always says that with the lack of financial muscle that they have, for them to be where they are is almost like winning the league. You know what I'm saying? So
I think also there's a misconception here. Like, I agree with that completely, but with Stellies as well. I think Stellies have the second or the third smallest budget in the league, and everybody thinks, they're rich. They're not really owned by the rich.
If you explain that thing, they aren't really owned.
But what Stellies have different is that they've never had a different since they were formed. They've had Steve Parker, and yes, they lose, but they identify good replacements, whether it's in the kitchen staff or whether it's actually playing personnel. They always adequately improve, and I think one of their biggest advantages is also having a high performance center and getting in highly qualified people to fill roles that they need. You know
Tapping into technology as well. If you look at the recruitment system, they recruit from
data and things like that.
You go and look at the players, the type of players they bring in.
Uras and Pasadines.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I remember when they signed Pasadine, I was like, why are they not going for Dylan Solomons? And
like,
no, because the games I watched Pasadena, he was like making mistakes. He was getting red carded.
Yeah.
But they see a different football.
Look at who they've lost and look at who they've replaced. And we never once said that Stellies are not the same Stellies without Ox. We never once said
and Dooley was a bench warmer at the Galaxy.
Janino Palace walked into that starting 11 and you almost forget about Ox. You lose a Dupré, you take from your academy. You put Ikram there, and then you put Devon Titus there, and then we don't speak about Ashley anymore. And then you lose a Mendieta.
De Jong is not a Mendieta.
Okay, De Jong is, but he's playing out of his socks,
and he's making the other guy shine.
What I love also about Stellies is everyone works, man. They run teams to the ground, quite literally.
It's surprising that these guys are not being linked to the coaching. I mean, at some point you're gonna have to say, maybe it's not the players. Maybe let's get the coaches.
Maybe they're doing something right.
But anyway, going into that coach of the season, I know me and you are both going to be on the panel for the award, PSL awards. I won't mention which category, and I won't mention which category I'm in, but it's for one category just to contextualize. But if you had a say in the coach of the season, I'm gonna go 3 categories: coach, player, and young player. I think that's the ones that get the most fanfare around and most attention. So coach of the season, who do you go for? And this is DStv Premiership and PSL competitions, which is Nedbank, MTN 8, Black Label. Okay, so that's the criteria, I think, right?
Based off of that, we have to give it to Steve Barker. I go Steve Barker every day. I had this debate with someone, and I said that Rulani is a fantastic coach and he's done extremely well.
He's unbeaten in the league.
And I made a statement to say that you can't praise a fish for swimming. Especially when you look at all the resources he's been given. And also credit to him, he puts in the work. He's a workaholic. We go to his press conferences, we see how tired he is, quite literally. But for Steve, who doesn't have the budget, who has a shoestring squad, who has the limitations in terms of paying players salaries that they do. For
as much as they would want to have that big budget, upstairs they're just not giving that.
They're not giving. And then for him to still achieve what they've done, they won the Black Label Cup. First trophy in Stelli's top flight history. They get to the semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup. They could potentially secure second spot and qualify for the CAF Champions League.
And a 25 game unbeaten run. Because I remember specifically around about August, maybe around about October. They had 9 or maybe November, 9 games in. I think they had 1 or 2 wins. And I remember everyone at the time, this guy's a dinosaur. Stelli's is whack. They're giving this guy, they must sack this time for new things, blah, blah, blah. 25 games later,
then if you look at also some of the teams that they beat and how and how they won in that 25 game run, you have to give him credit. I don't think there's another coach in the PSL who goes to Stelli's now and does what Steve Barker does. To be as consistent. Teams fear going to the Danny Craven Stadium, genuinely. It's not an easy trip to make.
But let me throw this curveball. So for example, TS Galaxy and Stellenbosch under Barker and Ramovic are the 2 teams that genuinely people are like saying give credit to them and whatever. But what do they have in common is that you can name their starting 11 off by heart. Sundowns don't have that luxury to say, I'm going to start
they have 4.
They're always going deep into competition. So doesn't that sway into consideration to say, if Coach Rulani Mokoena, I'm not taking him, if he had the luxury to start, who the traditional best 11 is of them, they would smash the league by even more.
No, for sure. But
it's the same Benny factor. The Benny.
I get what you're saying, but when you have the riches that they do, then who's your best starting 11? Because you've gone and you've signed the best players from almost every team, bar Kaizer Chiefs. But you've gone and you've signed Loch from Pirates. He was their best player. They've signed Mendieta from Stellies. He was their best player. They let Obas from Galaxy. If you look at who the star player is,
and the other one, who's the other team around him? Supersport.
You see, we don't have to mention because that is in-house. That they take from next door and then. But if you go and look at who they've taken, you take Ronwen Williams from Supersport. You know what I'm saying? Then
they're star players right now.
It's their star players. These are players that could walk into Bafana Bafana. I don't buy into it, the excuse that Sundowns would be better or should be better with their starting 11, their preferred starting 11.
Okay.
I say that because I genuinely feel like Sundowns do not prepare the entire team. Rather, the starting 11, and they kind of fall around a bit when those guys aren't available. I saw it in the Champions League Esperance. First leg, they played Obas in Tebza's position, and you could see he wasn't adequately prepared to fill that role because
he doesn't have the legs that Tebza
exactly.
has. But he's a good player.
Yeah, and also I think that they are guilty of sometimes having luxury players that do not necessarily fit what they're doing, but just because they're nice to have, we go and buy them. Terence Mashego. They weren't really in the market for a left back, but because a Bafana left back was available and we don't want anyone else to have him, we'd rather go and sign him.
And he can push whoever is there to take to the next step. They end up playing Butoil at left back.
Exactly. Nku probably play left back now. And if there's one thing I can criticize him for, and perhaps it's not a criticism, it's just an observation, is that revolving door scares me.
Of players?
Yeah. One season at Sundowns, you'll be the best thing since sliced bread, and the next season you might be on your way out.
Yeah, but that's probably why they also dominate to an extent. But I kind of agree. I feel like you could have still won the league comfortably and do well in the Champions League if you still had Lyle.
If you had Lyle, if you had Charlie, Safranco, you sign him for one season, he scores and then he leaves.
It, but sometimes there is that hunger factor. Like, for example, Manchester City won so many league titles now, and their squad was still at a relatively good age. Like, they could have kept that squad.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need a refresher. Like, you bring in a Doku and whatever. But anyway, you were talking about Tebza. I don't think he can be, as much as I think he's the best footballer in the country.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly say that. He's only played 15 league games, right? So I think it would be a stretch because last season I argued also that Saleng, he only started his first game in match week 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So I argued that maybe that went against him as a footballer of the season. So by that metric, I would rule
Tebza out.
Right?
Yeah.
So who do you think is player of the season?
I was thinking about this driving here, and I even checked the stats. 2012-2013 season, Itumeleng Khune goes to the awards, wins 4 awards.
Okay. Footballer of the season.
Football of the season, player of the season, goalkeeper of the season, and Nedbank Cup's player of the tournament.
Okay.
You look at his stats there, 12 clean sheets.
In how many games?
In 28 games.
Okay.
I think in the Nedbank Cup, I think he had 3 clean sheets. And then I go and look at.
So you're saying Khune's PR is strong, or Ronwen is just doing something ridiculous?
No, all I'm saying is if that type of numbers that season was good enough to win 4 individual trophies,
okay,
then this numbers of Ronwen Williams this season should win him 5. or even 6.
He must win coach of the season also.
He must win he must win midfielder of the season because he's a deep lying playmaker.
Yeah, but wait, let me actually just bring it up. I don't know if you know it off by heart.
No, we have to. This season is on 14 clean sheets in the league
alone. Yeah, he's only conceded 6 goals. He's played 19 games, but overall, this is 42 games for Sundowns, 15 clean sheets. Goals conceded. 29 clean sheets. And then also there's 5 in 7 at AFCON.
5 in 7
clean sheets.
In the CAF Champions League, 8 in 11.
That's sick.
That is insane.
But I think the why Ronwens and Khune. Okay, we obviously know one factor. One was the Chiefs goalkeeper.
Yeah.
The second factor was that Khune just had that flamboyance about him that created that and kind of like personality, you know what I mean? Where Ronwen is most humble. He doesn't, okay, recently he's been a lot in the media, previously he was never like that,
He was a shadow guy.
He was always quiet and doing his business.
He's always been so good, man. And this season, we have to give it to him. If a goalkeeper comes up with that type of numbers.
So he's going to go over 30 clean sheets, 100%. It's disgusting.
He's on 29 now.
Yeah.
they still have games left to play. And mind you, in a lot of the games, he was rested as well, where that rotation system, Dennis Onyango, Jody February even got a chance. You know what I'm saying? Riyadh.
Okay.
And he still puts up bad numbers. Guys.
Okay, so we're not even gonna bring up Tito here, which is gonna.
No. Also with him, for someone whose game he's a good contender.
No, but he's talked the talk for me. No,
for sure.
The reason why I say that is because we spoke to him at SuperSport United, and he was like, "Yeah, he wants to get into the Bafana squad, but he needs to add goals and assists to his game."
But there he was playing as a wingback.
Okay. He said, but when we were watching him in training, he looked like Messi. And then we watched the game on Saturday, then we were like, what is happening? Anyway, but that's another story. But when he signed for Pirates, it was a bit of a shock because his numbers was okay. But not Pirates. I know Sundowns and Pirates were looking at him because they can see the technical quality of what he is.
But think about it. SuperSport signed him on a 1-year deal because they weren't sure. It was almost tentative, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then they still claim they lost him.
They lost him.
They didn't respect him in the first place. But when he came there, he said he wants to win the Golden Boot. And I was like, okay, but you hold up. You still score your first professional goal in the PSL.
Yeah.
But anyway. So his numbers are quite good, but why do you think, is it just because Ronwen has been better, or do you think that, okay, let me just ask, if Ronwen was taken out of the equation, would Tito win Player of the Season?
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Tito had better numbers this season than Teko did when he won Player of the Season.
But I mean, okay.
I know it's completely different, but I'm saying that if that was good enough to win Player of the Season then, and this guy's 19 goal contributions for Pirates, and mind you, his game is not about stats.
Yeah.
His game is about a lot more. The only bad game I've seen him play 2 bad games, one for Bafana, one for Pirates against Sundowns, where he was being bullied by Tebza. Other than that, funny thing is...
But do you think he controls the game?
He doesn't control it, but he's influential. Okay. There are times when he disappears and you forget that he's on the pitch.
Then Tlamini.
And that's, I think that's the makeup of a good team. Crazy thing is, I played against Tito.
No.
In the amateur ranks. And everything he's doing to professionals now is what he did to us as amateurs. He looks slow, he looks sluggish. You go and close him down thinking that you're winning the ball. By the time you check, he's past 3 of you guys.
Okay.
And you went to go and mark him, you know what I'm saying? So is that good? I think if Ronwen didn't have the season that he did, Tito goes and wins it.
It's giving, I don't want to feed into the comparison of Themba Zwane, but it's always people are saying, what's so special about Themba Zwane? But what he does on the field is difficult, but it looks easy.
It looks easy, yeah. And again, he's not a stats man. If you are sitting behind a computer and you're looking at metrics, then Zwane is not your player.
He's not a legend.
Then he's not a legend. Then he's not a GOAT. But if you are at the stadium and you watch what Themba Zwane does, you watch how his teammates appreciate him.
And I think many fans also feed into that thing. We all know how you watch a game on TV. You sit on your phone.
Yeah.
You lie on the couch. You make you a cup of coffee, or you drink, or you have whatever. You know what I mean? You're not fully focused on the game. When you're at the stadium, you're watching the right back, what he's doing. You're watching the goalkeeper, we're shouting at his defense.
Yeah,
the TV, you just focus on the guy who has the ball. And I think that's where a lot of the times players start to get underrated and undervalued. And when at Sundowns or Pirates, I'm like, who's this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And when you do it for as long as he does, I think for the last 10 years,
it's ridiculous.
Zwane has been doing what he's been doing.
And then he still comes to Bafana and he shows everybody again. But
yeah.
Anyway, young player of the season. This is a bit weird one because I remember a couple of seasons ago, late Luke Fleurs who just passed away. When he won player of the season, I was just like, I can't remember who it was, but there was a younger player that was doing exceptionally well. But because the ruling was under 23, Luke was better than him, and he deserved to win the award. But now apparently the rules have changed from under 23 to under 21, and the player needs to have played, I think, more than 50% of I don't know. I think it's between 50 and 75. I'm not too sure of the season. So for me, there's only 3 contenders: Emi Ocon, Chandre Campbell, and Mofokeng. I think there are some who come close, because there's been a lot of players in that age group. There's been, okay, obviously I'm just mentioning names, but Nakwali, Diwani, young players who have played this season.
Players who have played,
But who takes it for you? I think if you had to take the first of the season, you'd say Chandre Campbell.
For sure. By far. Exceptional. But for me also, it's about consistency. Do you do it for the entire season, or do you do it in the first half only, and once you get found out, do you then continue to dominate?
But SuperSport has also been on a poor run.
They have been on a poor run of form. Sometimes you ask yourself, Chandra's got I remember we spoke about it. He's got that left foot that we haven't seen in a long time. I think
it's different to your Clates and your Kales. He's got more finesse.
He's got that mindset as well, of wanting to win and of showing he's the best. There's times when he looks like it's a lost cause and then he does something with it. So he's special for sure.
You could play as a 10, I think, as well.
I think so too. I think so, but I think he enjoys getting the ball where he has a bit more freedom. Then, of course, Ocon, same thing. Bright start, because also remember where they took him from. He was playing GDL last season.
No, wait. Oh, yeah.
He was signed from Randburg.
And then he went into
DDC. Not for long.
But Stan said they were like, they regretted not putting him in earlier last season. So when this season started, they were like, nah, for sure he's
starting. No, the same thing with him. Fantastic first half of a season. And obviously when the teams drop in form, hits that hard, it coincides with your loss of form.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to stand out if your team is conceding 3 goals. And it's not necessarily because of your individual mistakes, but because the team is not doing well. So it's difficult for you to do well.
Yeah, so Mofokeng is clear.
Mofokeng.
Okay, for sure.
I said the other day, that boy can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and play, and you put him on the field and he'll do it.
People are forgetting you're playing for Orlando Pirates.
Exactly. The fact that he did that, and then you look at him, he's a kid.
When last did we see a youngster at Pirates like this good?
This consistently good, because there were others that were like flash in the pans. Mahlonoko, when he came in, 16 years old.
But this is 2 now. It's a season and a half.
It's a season and a half of really, and he just seems to be getting better.
What is it? Probably Cheese Boy.
Yeah, probably Cheese Boy. Sure.
It's probably Cheese Boy.
Happy Jele when he came in, it's different. Happy Jele when he came in was also a teenager. But we haven't had anyone this good playing for Pirates, because also that is a pressure in itself. This boy, you think that he's playing for
Maromo Gallants.
For 80 Mamba. They on a Saturday, it genuinely looks like that. You know what he says?
He's enjoying himself. He's not worried about the talk, the fans, and you know.
And what I love about him, he knows he's a fan favorite, but he doesn't play into the fans' hands. So every time he gets the ball and they start whistling, he doesn't do something.
Yeah.
But now, when you aren't whistling, then he does something to wake the game up. It takes a special kind of player to do that.
Emotional intelligence.
He has a lot of emotional intelligence. There's areas of his game that needs improving, especially for where I see him going.
Yeah.
If he's going to go to Europe, he needs to become stronger.
I think if he doesn't become stronger, his goals need to really improve.
Then he needs to score. But
because you're never gonna see he's 167 or 17, whatever, and he's not,
you see his father, and you also look at him and say that he's not gonna grow a lot more than what he currently is.
I think even Campbell the same.
Campbell is a bit more sturdy.
Yeah.
You look at them standing next to each other.
But in Europe, they're always going to say, how tall is this guy?
Yeah. But again, for me, it just needs to get stronger. What made Tebza different? So Tebza, I don't know if you remember, one young player of a season when he just came into that Furman role.
Yeah.
And for the position he was playing, he needed to get stronger. Tebza then went, became a beast, and no one could touch him because added to that ability was now the physicality
and work rate.
And work rate. And now really, with that natural talent, you go and add a bit of physicality, because also he needs to be durable. If you are playing the way he does, where he takes on players as often as he does, they are going to kick you. You need to be able to then do it over a period of 20 plus games. And if he doesn't bulk up a bit more, then you question whether he can do it. In the PSL, yes, he'll get away with it. But like I'm saying, for where he's going, if he's going on trial at Wolves, so then he does need to get stronger. But by far the best young player in the country for me.
Okay, case closed there. Is Jose, I don't want the India thing. Is Jose Rivero the right man for the job for next season?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Wait, let's not say why and why.
Absolutely.
So he must see out next season.
He must see out next season.
Unless obviously somebody else tries to take him away.
You see, that's the only thing. But there's no one better for Pirates now than Jose.
Okay, so Kaizer Chiefs obviously has been looking for a new coach for the past 6 months, and they still don't have that guy. From the people that I've been speaking to, it's very difficult to find information because you don't know where to look. You know what I mean? There's probably thousands, and I'm not even exaggerating, thousands of agents and thousands of coaches who have applied with on and the then table. That agencies I'm in talks with Chiefs. Some coaches Chiefs contacted me. Meanwhile, it was Sipo from Randburg that said I can get you the Chiefs job, and then it gets all fuzzy and whatever. But what I know is there's two coaches that have they've been looking at, which is Alexandre Santos, Raul Caneda, and then Julian Chevalier from ASIC Mimosas. All European coaches.
That's the one thing we know for sure, that they are going European.
So I think Santos is the one that actually make a lot of sense because he's on the verge of winning a third league title. With Petro, he's been in Champions League, he's been in the AFL. In Angola, I think they have access to Super Sport, which means he has access to the PSL.
To the PSL.
So not only does he know Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates, and he knows the league. You know what I mean? But if you're looking at all this chatter and things like that, do you think it's imperative that this is the coach that's going to be there for a long term? Or like the type of coach that comes in and just gets the structure right and then move on?
They have to go long term, Lorenz. The last 5 coaches have all been there for a season and gone. So imagine for 5 straight seasons rebuilding every time. We're rebuilding, because also if you look at the coaches they've brought in, all contrasting styles. One wants to play carpet football, one is playing helicopter football. One wants to play transition football, another wants to play a possession game. So then you get rid of certain players that could have worked for me, and I got rid of certain players that could have worked for the next coach. But that just speaks to a team who lacks identity. They need to go long term. Someone to come and, number one, stabilize the foundations. And number 2, someone who has a big personality to be able to put his foot down when players are being signed for him. I think that's a big thing.
I mean, most of these coaches at the top African clubs, they're already used to that. I'm not sure what the transfer strategy or policy is in Petro or whatever. But if you go to Wydad, Esperance, you come there, they sign players from you, leave players, they without players leave without the coach's input. But I mean, it you can't say because others are doing it that you should be doing it as well.
But all I'm saying is that you look at the last 9 years, you say that we've tried it the Chiefs way, and I think they've become victims of the Chiefs way, where you so fixated on this one thing that used to work for you, and then you go and you say, we're doing it the Chiefs way, but you look at the 9 years and you say that, has the Chiefs way worked for us?
Yeah.
Do we need to revisit it and say
You
maybe
can tweak the Chiefs way.
we need
maybe.
to tweak the Chiefs way because football has moved. Football has evolved. You have Rulani Mukwena who's watching 99 games of yours before he plays you. So by the time he plays you, he knows your team better than you do.
Yeah.
You know? So you need to, you can't just, we Chiefs and this is us.
Because I mean, the last time I think when Chiefs was really doing well, like you know, dominating, like with Colin Zuma and things like that. For me, they were playing, you know, 4-4-2 wings, pacey wingers, lots of crosses.
One fast striker, one burning striker. That has been the Chiefs way. But you can't come and do that now. You'll get hammered 5 like they were the other day. You can't come and do that now. You need to get with the times.
Yeah.
You need to almost swallow your pride, because also with them, they're still acting like.
I understand, but look at the Chiefs thing. I mean, it's 10 years of
mediocrity.
Yeah, so there's a lot that can go into it. But yeah, as we know, those are the amongst the coaches.
Yeah.
But I mean, with Chiefs right now as well, I think there's a lot of indecisiveness, and I think
they must have trick with Nabi.
Yeah,
if anything,
I don't think Nabi's negotiation went as far as like it was reported. But they did miss out on him because he was keen to come, and they were keen for him to come.
They were keen for him
and
to
they
come.
Were like, they looked that way, and boom, he was gone.
He was gone.
You know what I mean?
That's what happens when you have a big name coach that's available. You aren't the only one wanting him.
Yeah.
He's got options.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like, we could mention all these names, and these are the serious contenders and whatever, and then boom, they go for somebody completely that nobody was talking about because they were dragging their feet on so and so. Because the longer you take, the more the coach is gonna say I want, or the more people he wants to
bring
on players on or whatever. But anyway,
crazy thing is, if I can just say this, perhaps they can follow the Pirates route and go via Analytics FC. That's how Jose was signed. On a platform, you type in, I want a coach who averages 2.1 points per game.
And he plays
must
this
be
formation.
able to speak English. He plays this formation. You type it in there. That you pay a bit of money to use the service. That thing pops out names. Say, I want this one. Come. You know what I'm saying? It's not tried and tested, but Pirates got it right. So maybe.
CV Lambile. What? Ilambile.
Yeah, it's hungry. It's not hungry anymore. It's fourth cup final now. So maybe you'll say that ngiyasutha manje, I'm full.
Anyway, we're moving on now. We almost done. Lyle Foster, I mean, I just saw on the Dusky tweet the other day. I didn't even post about it because I knew what it was inviting. Like, everybody knows they got relegated. I didn't post about it. I just looked at the comments and they all said, good for him. He must get relegated. He turned his back on the country. We hate this guy. He must never play for Bafana again. He must go to championship. All that type of things. Now, isn't that the exact thing that they were trying to protect him from? You know what I mean? Like, this guy's going through mental health issues, right? And he says, I don't want to come to AFCON. Because people say, it's not gonna. But are you away from your club where you found familiarity, your teammates, where you found familiarity? Now you must go sit in Ivory Coast for 30 days, roomed up in a hotel, or not even a hotel. They were in like a digs. You must be in this ridiculous weather. You're gonna get depressed again. You're gonna have a whatever. You're not. Safa's not gonna, provide what Burnley can. I mean, likely because it's the highest level.
It's the highest level, yeah.
And now fans are destroying him now, like literally destroying him now. So do you think he should come back and end all this nonsense, come back, score 3 goals, everybody forgets, or do you think he should just maybe stay away for a more prolonged period?
I think
he's gonna come back to South Africa.
No, for sure.
The holidays. Anyway.
I think if this has shown anything, it's just how ignorant we still are about mental health issues, where, as South Africans, we see it as taboo. If you have mental health issues, you're crazy. We say that.
Or you
are bewitched.
Or you're not a man.
You're not a man, because we sweep those things under the rug. But here's someone at the peak of his game coming out saying, I'm struggling, I have issues, I need time to adjust. I need time away from the game, which he did for 2 months. He didn't play. I remember I was here at this podcast when he just came out and he announced it. And then he comes back and he plays for his club. He plays in a place where he's familiar, not quite the same as before, but the good thing is that he's back playing football. I think as a nation and as football fans, we need to be a bit more empathetic. We need to put ourselves sometimes into the shoes of some of these footballers. I know we say that these guys get paid well, they stay in the best hotels, they drive the best cars.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Vincent Kompany broke it down so nicely. He said that for Lyle to come out and express how he's feeling, to let people into his world in that time, it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage because a lot of players are suffering inside. That's why we see these guys drinking the way they do. Some of them turn to drugs, to women, to a lot of destructive devices. The fact that he chose to deal with it in the way that he did, and the fact that the club supported him the way, I think if anything, the guy needs to.
Yeah, because he could have easily just said, "I'm injured."
Yeah,
I'm injured for the season.
Exactly.
And the club also actually could have said
the club could have said that, and it's not, he never said he doesn't want to play for Bafana. That was just the conclusion that we came up with on social media, because why is he not playing for Bafana? He's playing for Burnley. But that, it was...
If AFCON was in South Africa, he would have played, yeah. I'm telling you now.
For sure. Because then he would have still been around, a lot of familiarity. I think that is the most important thing also. Say that you're in an environment where you feel accepted. You don't feel the pressures that you do outside. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't know the situation right now, but I do think like if we don't pick him when he's inevitably going to come back to South Africa for holidays, like to see his family and stuff, it would be a bit of an own goal. But I would also understand the situation if he just wants to spend time with his family, because and not because of the footballing reason, but just for what we're seeing online. And but it's a crazy world we're living in, because he could come to the airport now and people will be flocking around taking pictures. But on X or Facebook, they all hate him.
They go and bash him. I think it's gonna sound crazy, but I think him playing for Bafana and coming to do well would be the best way to shut people up. He's better than a lot of what we have at the moment. Certainly better than...
You don't need to name drop like you did the last time.
No, but I was spitting facts, because also he hasn't scored since I've been here. And we in May now.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna take that. I thought you were gonna take that back, but
no, he hasn't scored since I've been here. He hasn't scored. It's 7 months.
It's bad
that I haven't been here.
Just tried up, but let's move on before you hurt people's feelings. So the Bafana squad, this is my final thing. So we're playing Nigeria in Uyo and then Zimbabwe in Bloemfontein. Shout out to Bloemfontein. They're gonna get some football. I'm sure we're gonna see.
They're gonna show up. You'll see a Bafana game sold out.
Stadium packed in green and white. But is there any players in particular in the PSL that you think maybe? For me, I can start. I think Keanu Cupido.
For sure.
And Ngezana. I mean, it might be risky to take these guys, because it's simple. Now you take CBC, you take Kulu, you take Mvala and Kekana, because
it's a tried and tested.
But I think Keanu Cupido is somebody that is seriously underrated. Even a player like Sanele Bonds. But these are the guys, obviously they need to play friendlies and stuff first. But
Tashreeq Matthews, he needs to go for sure. One player that we keep overlooking, and it's quite sad, Gift Links. We have Kuliso Mudau, the best right back. Now we have someone who could potentially double up, like do that on the left hand side. He has a different profile. He's doing it week in, week out in a very decent league. He's just gone to a cup final recently. If you look at the stats, I think he's getting player of the week or into the team of the week consistently.
And you don't also go to 150 games in
in Denmark,
Denmark, if you're not professional and if you're not a hard worker, if you're not performing well.
They said he's weak physically. He's worked on that.
Can I tell you something mad? Like okay, so Sundowns sporting director is Danish, right?
Yeah,
he knows the club. So he was looking at Links as the Tashrik Matthews signing. They want to bring in Links as a forward. And the reason why they were looking at Links is because AGF signed either Youth International or Danish International as their new left back.
Swedish International.
Swedish International, sorry. And he's like, nah, Gifty is gonna get splinters.
Yeah.
And we're gonna save him and whatever. And they were like,
you must write his name there on the bench. His spot.
Anyway. Season ends. I think Gift played the most games he ever played in the season.
Yeah.
Swedish guy is writing the name on the bench. So if you can put a Swedish international on the bench, I mean, how can you not be getting into Bafana?
Oh, exactly. I think he deserves a shot. At least let him come and fail here.
Yeah. Instead of just telling me he's not good enough.
You can't tell him from there you aren't good enough.
And the reason why,
and fail here where we can see.
Ironically, the reason why they say he's not good enough, because the first World Cup qualifier, he played as the right wing under Bruce against Zimbabwe, ironically.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a good time. They took him off at halftime and
he's never come back. But if you're gonna keep picking Moby, pick gift ones.
Ish.
Yeah. If because also oftentimes he says that Moby hasn't let him down. He hasn't given Gift a chance to see if he'll let him down or not. You know? So give Gift a chance. Let him come and fail here instead of sitting there and saying, because also he's never gone out to watch him. That's the thing.
Yeah, and there's no wise scout. Yeah.
And bring back Lodge.
Okay. Hey, man. Okay. Let's just leave it on the mic drop there, guys. Look, the first time you were here, you were very spot on with many things. Especially a very contentious comment about somebody that's not going to bring goals to club or country. But anyway, that's how we end episode 8. He's leaving it on a mic drop because he'll definitely be back again. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Until next time.